Hello, everyone. Welcome on back. It's been a while, but it's Betting Weekly Game Bet Match, your number one tennis betting YouTube show and podcast with me, your host, Nigel Seeley, and our ATP Tour handicapper, senior handicapper. It's Sean Calvert. Sean, since the last time we spoke, you had the lurgy. You've flown to Spain. You've come back. We're having a strange tennis tournament as well. How are you, first of all?
Well, the crown came out again.
Oh, no.
Regular viewers will no doubt be fascinated to learn about my.
We're not talking about the new edition of the Netflix drama, The Crown.
I don't know what that is. To be honest,
it's a Netflix drama about the royal family, but this is more important than that. This is Sean Calvert's crown at the end of his tooth.
That came out again when I was in Spain. I was just chewing something and out that came. So I got to go back to the dentist tomorrow. The receptionist, I told her it had come out for about the 10 millionth time. The receptionist said, "Oh, is it permanent or temporary?" I said, "Well, it's supposed to be permanent, but apparently it's temporary." So so that's out. I've still got a pretty rancid cough, so I've got a cup of hot tea here, should my voice go at any stage. So it's pretty much as you were, basically, apart from the addition of the crown out again.
Well, the flu bug is causing problems in the Seeley household. Paul has gone down with the flu bug. She's been bedridden for 4 days in a really bad way. I've tried not to go near her because we're going to Geneva next week for the tennis, and I don't want to get the lurgy. But today I've got a serious headache, starting a bit of a sore throat. So I think I might be coming down with it.
Well, Natasha came back from Paris with this horrible cough. She's still got it. I've still got it. Lagan's had one for about 6 weeks, probably easy. They just don't go. They just kind of stay, and there's all stuff on your chest. I think flu's slightly different. I wasn't bedbound. It wasn't like that. It was just rancid coughing, and it's still going on. But it's definitely getting there, but it's just not ideal.
And finally, you was a few days in Spain. How was the Calvert holiday? Weather must have been quite nice for you. No problems with the weather. You are the bock of the weather this year, so I'm sure it might be. Was it all right for you?
It was no warmer than it was here. Oh, that's the problem. I knew it as soon as I booked that ages ago, and I looked at the weather forecast for the week ahead, and I knew it as soon as I looked at it. It was actually the same temperature in Leon C as it was in Alicante. I think might have been a couple of degrees warmer in Alicante on the Sunday and the Monday, but it was negligible. If you ever want good weather, just book somewhere when I'm away, and then it'll be absolutely glorious.
When are you away next?
Not to Mallorca.
When's that? Round about when?
That is where is it? 22nd-ish of June. That weekend.
Can you go about a week later? Can you go back to 27th, 28th? Because I've hired an Airbnb with an outdoor swimming pool for my birthday. And
no,
I need the weather to be good.
Not really, because the tournament's on that week. I can't, unless they change the tournament and move it to the week later, which is pretty unlikely.
If you could stay there for an extra day, I know I've got no problems with the weather, because I don't want to be going down to Devon and have terrible weather with an outdoor swimming pool.
Well, anyway, take your chances down there, Devon and Cornwall.
Exactly. So so hopefully you can sort of come inside a little trip somewhere, and
I'll think about it. Yeah, for a fee.
If that would be great. Well, yeah, no problem. On the tournament now, this is the first time we've spoken this week. We couldn't speak last week because Sean was away and the internet connection was pretty poor. And obviously this week we've had a couple of matches where we couldn't really get on about, and then we've got this situation again where we've got 2 quarterfinals going on today as we're recording this on the Wednesday, and 2 quarterfinals tomorrow on the Thursday. And we're going to feature the 2 quarterfinals on the Thursday. But before we do that, we're going to look at the tournament. We haven't really spoken about the tournament, but what a strange tournament this tournament is in Rome. The weather's changed. It's obviously quicker. But, if someone had said to me, I can name 6 of those quarterfinalists, I'd say, well, you're either a genius or you're a liar. What would you say? I mean, incredible sort of.
Yeah.
The roll of honour for this tournament. Who would have thought these are the guys who've been it?
Well, 4 of the 5 top seeds not making the quarterfinals, that's pretty unlikely in a Masters event, isn't it? We did say it's kind of annoying, really, because I did say at the start, Djokovic, a lot of question marks about him, so I took Cerundolo in that section. And on the same day, Djokovic got beat by Tabilo, and Cerundolo put in another one of his awful ones against Khachanov. If he'd have won that match against Khachanov, as he certainly has the ability to do, he'd have been playing Tabilo, or Zhang or whatever for a place in the semi-finals. That's kind of annoying. I did kind of expect Djokovic to potentially falter, which he has, but the other ones weren't particularly expected. I mean, Casper Ruud was quite a surprise earlier. I'm not sure if he was fully fit. Rublev was the kind of semi-obvious one to not go because he'd been really, really ill in Madrid. He'd obviously been hanging around with me in Madrid. Picked up something horrible.
He's my mate. Ever I go, I bump into Rublev. He's my friend. No, not your friend. Your friend is the Alanui. You sure?
Oh, I see him everywhere. Yeah,
It's your friend.
big friend. But so he was kind of unlikely to even play in Rome. So perhaps not a surprise that he's exited. Medvedev, again, you could say that last year when he won this tournament, it was a lot damper, so the ball was bouncing a lot lower. This year, it's more typical clay conditions, if you like, drier, higher bouncing, things that Medvedev doesn't like. So perhaps not that unlikely that he's been out. But you've still got the likes of Tsitsipas and Zverev at the minute. I suppose odds makers would tell you that Zverev and Tsitsipas, as we're talking now, are probably the most likely finalists.
Yeah, and that's good for us. We got Tsitsipas to win the tournament at a very nice price at the start of the event. We stuck with him,
Zverev.
which was Zverev. Sorry, my mistake. Yeah. Zverev. We stuck with him. We said at the time that, or I said at the time, that it's very unusual for you to stick with a player and to do that. You had to take that with respect. And at the moment, he's looking good. I mean, he can't be. I think he's a tournament favourite as we speak now. So looking good for Zverev.
A slight favourite, but Zverev's just after. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, looking good for Zverev in that section of the draw. He's got Tabalo or Zhang or getting past Fritz. Taylor Fritz doing amazing stuff on the European clay.
He is
incredible as well. So hopefully we'll be looking to add to our already profit on the season, which is staying at 4.31 units with the Zverev win. Let's have a look at these two matches tomorrow, though. And obviously, there's a couple of crucial points about these matches, and I think the conditions are the crucial points. So,
yes,
before we go into the games, just give us a little bit of your thought process into the conditions we've had in Rome, why it's so important, the scheduling for these two matches tomorrow.
Yeah, it's just been very quick compared to last year. Obviously, when I was there, it was raining. I think you were there as well.
I was there, yep.
It rained when I was there. There's a few pictures of me outside the Colosseum with a plastic raincoat on. This year it's been a lot warmer. It's been the first couple of days was a little bit dodgy, wasn't it? But since then it's warmed up considerably. Every day's been 25, 26, 27. Lots of sun obviously makes the courts quicker. So that's aided players like the Hurkacz, these sort of guys. They can rely on their first serve. We'll talk about Hurkacz in a minute. They can rely a bit more on their first serve to get them through. Just looking at the tie breaks that have happened in recent days, 15 of the last 27 matches have featured a tie break. That's 56%. Now, this tournament as a whole over many, many years averages about 35%, I think, tie break matches. So 20% more than the average. Just that little snapshot, not the whole tournament, because, rounds 1 and round 2, you do get some mismatches where tie breaks are quite unlikely, a heavy favourite against a big underdog. But these more recent matches where you've got closer matched guys have produced an awful lot of tie breaks. So as far as the Hurkacz match is concerned, and indeed the Tsitsipas match, I think it's very important before you bet to check out which match is on in the day and which match is on in the night, because there'll be one men's match in the day and one at night. And I think it's vital before you bet to figure out which one's on when.
Yeah, we're not going to force a bet here for the sake of forcing a bet. I know there's only 2 matches, but we're giving you the years of experience from Sean here. So we're not just going to give you a bet for any reasons. We need to know that order of play, and that order of play will be announced a little bit later on this evening. So unfortunately, we probably won't have a bet on it. We'll give you some leans, give you some statistics, but it's up to you to make your mind up when you see that order of play. When you do head across to the BetRivers website to place your bets, and there'll be a multitude of different betting markets to be able to have on these matches. Let's start off with that Hurkacz match. Hurkacz against Tommy Paul. Both of them incredible clay form. Hurkacz 11-2 with a clay court win. That is unheard of. Tommy Paul is 4-1 this year. Also great stats as well. Hurkacz is a marginal favourite here at -150. Tommy Paul is +120. The American. The handicap or the spread is 1.5. -115. Hurkacz giving up the 1.5. -109. Paul receiving 1.5. And the total, no surprise given how well these two serve. 23 is the line. -108 over. -118 under. They've played twice before on the main tour. They've played in a couple of Pro Match Series events, which we ignore in 2020. And it's 1 win apiece. But both have cashed over the games. Paul won in Indian Wells in 2023. And at the Paris Masters, Hurkacz won 7-5, 7-6. Probably anybody looking at this match, first of all, their eyes get drawn to the total games. BetRivers has gone 23.5, which is on the high side. But again, you'd be a very brave man to be betting unders.
I mean, the schedule is all important. A day match in the sun would be very favourable to Hurkacz, because his serve is so vital to his game. Anybody that watched him play Baez yesterday, the serve won him the match, basically. Baez was a set and a break up, wasn't he? And as Baez does, because he has such a weak serve, he struggles to maintained leads. He's lost numerous matches this European clay swing that he should have won because he can't hold leads. Hurkacz won only 40% of his second serve points in that match against Bears. Bears won 61%. So Bears was 21% better off the ground in the neutral rallies. But Hurkacz won 84% on his first serve. So it's taken him a distance. I don't think he's that much improved on clay. I just think he's still found conditions that are favourable to his game. So for me, I'm unconvinced by Hurkacz. If it's a night match, I would certainly favour Tommy Paul. Paul was the other way round to Hurkacz against Medvedev. Paul only won 58% on his first serve, but 73% on his second serve. I know it was a poor performance from Medvedev. He didn't really look into it from the start, but excellent from Tommy Paul. If you look at the last 12 months on clay at main level, there's no reason to have Hurkacz as favourite. Service points, service points won and return points won total 104 for Hurkacz. Also 104 for Tommy Paul. Service hold and break totals 105 Hurkacz, 107 Tommy Paul. So I'm just going to take a quick drink. My voice is a little bit
no problem.
So there's nothing on the clay stats to suggest that Hurkacz should be as short as he is. It should be a pick'em, really, on the stats. The head-to-head slight advantage to Hurkacz in terms of the service points won and return points won totals across the two main level meetings, 102 to 98. But that's pretty close. It's not a considerable advantage. And what they've done this Rome in terms of service points won and return points won totals, I know it's only 3 matches, but it shows you a kind of snapshot of the level at this exact moment in time. And Hurkacz, his total's 108, Paul 114. Tommy Paul winning 65% on his second ball compared to 51% for Hurkacz. So it's all about Hurkacz's serve. And obviously for him, he would strongly prefer a day match. I mean, even in the night, it's still tough to return Hurkacz's serve. But off the ground for me, Tommy Paul's playing better. A night match, I feel I'd probably back Tommy Paul if that was to be the case. Day match, I probably just wouldn't have a bet. But if it's scheduled in the night, I think Tommy Paul's got a decent chance of winning this match.
And on the early flurries in the market with BetRivers, Tommy Paul is the man being bet. He is the man, the 1+120 is under pressure. So I would expect a drift on Hurkacz, especially if the schedule does have it late, as Sean has touched on there. Total games, obviously 23.5, and the match totals in the set 1 and set 2 are obviously pitched very, very high as well. And that's the kind of close match that the betting would suggest here as well. So scheduling all important. The next match again is also very important. It's another one that the first line you look at is it's the total games as well. It's Stefanos Tsitsipas, who's in fantastic form. He's -360 against Nicolas Jarry, +275. The spread here is 2.5. Tsitsipas is the heavy favourite, -$2. Jarry at +150, and the spread here is 22.5. Now, we spoke about one of these two playing, I think it was in Los Cabos earlier in the year. And the line was pitched at 24.5 on the totals. I remember it. And we're having a big conversation saying it was on one of the highest lines we've seen. It came in very easy. It was 6-7, 7-6, 6-2. But I think that match was at altitude. And obviously, Jarry is at...
It's not altitude. No, it's actually very slow at Los Cabos. It's sea level and it's dead slow.
Where was the game? Jarry played... I'm sure they played at altitude in the Jarry match. I can't... Anyway... But the line was always high. Jarry matches have always been pitched higher. This is a low, 22.5, over -110, under -113. They are no strangers to each other. Met 5 times before. Jarry leads 3-2 in the head-to-head. He did win the last match in Beijing, 6-4, 6-4. Los Cabos, Tsitsipas won. And their only previous meeting was on clay in 2023 in Monte Carlo, a match where I was in attendance. And Tsitsipas won 6-3, 6-4. Tsitsipas, let's talk about him first. Amazing turnaround. We're talking about is he going to fulfill his potential? Is he a player that we should be fading for majors? He's now currently one of the hottest players on tour. Probably is the hottest player on tour in his form. Suddenly, he's parted ways with Paula Badosa. She's winning some games again. He's doing well. Rory McIlroy announced that he's parted ways with his wife. He's won 2 successive tournaments, and he's going into the USPGA as the champion of the world, as the tournament favourite. Is that something we should be factoring in here? Tsitsipas' love life?
Well, I tried to factor it in at the start, but I hadn't got the faintest idea what I was talking about, obviously, which is always the case. You don't know how these things are going to affect people, even if they're real. I mean, who knows what, people putting things out on Instagram. Is it, is it real? Is it not real? You know,
You
do
at
I,
them $1 buses is definitely real on those Instagram
well,
pics.
that's real.
And
That's a
yes,
fact.
yeah, and you in an Irish bar having
That's
Guinness, that's real on Instagram.
well, it'd be
That's the kind of
Magnus.
content I'm here for. That's
It would
what
be
I'm here for.
Magnus. I don't drink
Magnus.
Guinness. It would be. I will have Guinness if there's nothing else available. But
that's the unreal. That's the fake Sean Calvert with the Guinness. That's how we can spot the two if there's real or fake.
Yeah, I used to drink Guinness, not anymore. I've forgotten what we were talking about now. Tsitsipas, I mean, we took a bit of a chance on him, didn't we, earlier on in this with Monte Carlo, and that one worked out. But I mean, the clay swingers, it was always going to be this time of year, do or die for Tsitsipas, wasn't it? Poor for about a year or so. Getting rushed all the time on these quicker surfaces. When it comes to the clay, that will be the time when he either says, right, I'm going to give this a right go, or just carries on and lets his career kind of limp away. And he seems to have taken the former option. You mentioned it a while ago, didn't you? Back in for the French Open at what, about 25-1 or something like that?
Do you know what, Sean? We're going to come on to the French Open in a minute, but I'm going to tell you a story about that in a minute. But we'll come on to the French Open after this preview. But I thought he was the one take. When everyone started dropping like flies, he was putting the form. I thought he was 28-1 at the time. BetRivers were the best price in the land. I didn't bet him. I was gutted, but I thought at the time he was very bet, and he's now single figure prices across the board.
Even lower if he wins this tournament, I suppose, because all the others have got massive question marks against them, haven't they?
Mm-hmm.
But as far as he's concerned, he looked great yesterday against de Minaur, but de Minaur can't do anything in slow clay conditions against Tsitsipas. That was a joy of a matchup for him. I mean, he struggled against Struff in the first round, a little bit lucky in the end to get through that one against Struff. Norrie is not the player he was. So I don't think and then the match before that, of course, where I was at, he got bludgeoned off the court by Montero in Madrid. I know it was at altitude, but it just shows you how suspect Tsitsipas can be against power and pace coming at him on that backhand side. He can get rushed, and this is why this is probably the most important of all the matches, both the matches tomorrow. When's it going to be scheduled? If this is in the day, I would give Jarry a decent chance of doing something for sure against Tsitsipas. He's done it before, as you've said, we've said about the head-to-head. It's a very clear head-to-head. Jarry's won when it's quick or quick-ish, and Tsitsipas has won when it's slow or slowish. So if it's at night, I would favour Tsitsipas. Wouldn't bet him at that price. I still think it might be tough, but a day match, I would certainly give Jarry a chance. He's given Tsitsipas an awful lot of problems with that serve, peppering that backhand. He knows how to play against Tsitsipas. If you look at the head-to-head across all 5 matches, service points won and return points won totals very, very close. Tsitsipas 101, Jarry 99. So there's been nothing in it overall across those 5 matches. The standout stats are all serve and return based. Both men have held serve 91% of the time across as an average across all these 5 matches, some of which were played in quickish conditions, some which were played in slow conditions. So even so, 91% holds of serve. Both won exactly the same amount of second serve points, 54% each. So no one's had an advantage from the back of the court in neutral rallies. You would perhaps expect Tsitsipas to be the boss there, but not so. And the standout stat of all really is the return points won. Very, very low. 31% Tsitsipas, 30% to Jarry. So if this is a day match, I would certainly be tempted with set one overs. I think it's the obvious play. When I looked earlier, over 10.5 games in set one was about plus 190 with BetRivers. So again, it's about the schedule. Day match, I think Jarry can at least cause some substantial problems for Tsitsipas. Night match, the confidence would drain away from me a little bit.
I quite like the overs in the match as well at 22.5. Like I say, these matches, whenever these two played, have always been pitched very high. On this occasion, they haven't been pitched very high, probably because the money line is so short for Tsitsipas, and the market's not giving much of a hope to Jarry, which may be wrong.
I think that'll change once the schedule is known. I think the layers will change it because you were there in Monte Carlo in slow conditions, on the clay. What was it, 6-3, 6-4? You would probably expect something like that again if this was a night match, but obviously we don't know.
Well, there's been money for Tsitsipas in the last hour or so. He's still been heavily supported in the market. Jarry's on the negative, so somebody might know something. Somebody might then, because Tommy Paul's
wouldn't be at all surprised because it's only a couple of hours, 2-3 hours away when they'll probably release the schedule. So it wouldn't be a surprise if somebody knew something. Yeah,
Exactly. But Tsitsipas obviously reached the final in Barcelona, won in Monte Carlo, and bidding to make the semi-finals here in Rome, which is an amazing turnaround on his form. So that's very interesting to see how that develops. And what is going to be really interesting to see now how the development of the French Open starts. And the French Open starts in just under 2 weeks now from now. And I don't think I've ever gone into a tournament for a very long time believing that we could get some of these favourites beat that we're having here now. Let's have a look at the latest betting markets on the French Open with BetRivers. And remember, all through Roland Garros, we'll have you covered here on Betting Weekly Studios and on our Instagram account and on Twitter. We'll have the best coverage for your best bets at Roland Garros. And Carlos Alcaraz is now the favourite at 2-1. He's 2-1 to win. His Alcaraz obviously out injured at the moment. And this injury seems a serious injury, this arm injury. Everything I read up about it suggests this is not going to be something that's going to clear up as quickly as you believe. So I've got a big negative for Alcaraz. No, Djokovic. Yeah, it's not Djokovic 3-1. I mean, anybody who watched Djokovic to me just seems to someone who just. I think he's going to be up for the Olympics, and this is his farewell year. I can't see Djokovic being here this time next year. No. Yannick Sinner plus 375, another serious injury.
Well, they're talking now, aren't they? I don't know how true this is, but the sort of noises coming out of Italy seem to be that people are saying that he has to rest this hip injury, otherwise it's going to be a major, major problem for him.
Yeah,
down the line, they're saying he's probably won't play Roland Garros, even if he does. As I've said many times, I wouldn't fancy him with his body to win that tournament, and I certainly wouldn't fancy him in this condition. He may not even start. So we've got Alcaraz who might potentially not start. Sinner who might potentially not start. I think Casper Ruud had a problem as well against Kekmanovic. I don't know how fit he is. Djokovic, I just don't think he's not prepared to suffer in rallies. The couple of occasions when he's won the French Open, he's had to really suffer in rallies, normally against Nadal. And, on the clay, you've got to grind him out. He wasn't prepared to do that at all against Tabilo. He may be prepared to do that at Roland Garros. He may be saving himself for that. That's a possibility. But you couldn't back him at 3-1. I mean, it's big question marks over all the main contenders, really. Tsitsipas, he's looking arguably the best of them all at the minute.
Well, the market is suggesting here that the top three are an 84% chance to win the French Open. It's 16% the rest of the field. 84% Alcaraz, Djokovic, and Sinner. And if you throw in Ruud as well, it's 95% the winner comes from one of those, which is absolutely. I just couldn't. I can't bring myself to bet. And I did bet two players yesterday. I bet Tsitsipas yesterday. I missed that 25-1, but he was 12-1 yesterday after the first set, and I thought that was too big. And I bet Tsitsipas yesterday at 12-1, and I bet Zverev yesterday at 12-1 as well. Zverev is now 10-1. Nadal 12. Again, and Nadal 12-1. I mean, you wouldn't bet with another. No, Rublev 20.
No.
Rune 20. Medvedev 28. Dimitrov 50. Taylor Fritz is playing well, but 80-1, you wouldn't bet it. But I think this Tsitsipas and Zverev now, those two players will be huge market movers in the next 2 or 3 weeks, especially if they contest the final here. And I think
Zverev could be number 4 if if Zverev wins this tournament, as we hope he does. Then I think the maths will work out that he's one of the top 4 seeds, number 4 seed.
Yeah.
So and then it's who do you get put with?
Well, he could be number 2 seed if Alcaraz and Sinner don't participate, and have Tsitsipas up to number 3 or 4 of it as well. Rude. So I mean, I just think
it's going to come down to the draw, isn't it? I wouldn't be betting it pre. I don't think. I think you just have to a look at the draw and take a couple that you think might be able to do something, because we could have a very much unheralded finalist on our hands.
I think it's
here.
quite exciting because for tennis for the last 4 or 5 years, I've been saying poor Djokovic, Nadal, Djokovic.
4 or 5, like 15.
I mean, but obviously when Federer passed and did retire, and when Nadal sort of come towards the end of his career, he was hoping that there would be a more competitiveness. But obviously we had Alcaraz and Djokovic competed, and nobody else sort of emerged in that sort of period. But now we could really have a season which could be crazy. And talking of that, we haven't got the graphic on it, but I've spoken to you many times before about watching players who have done well on surfaces that are unfamiliar for them, or they're not usually very good, and then looking ahead. Some of these Wimbledon prices interest me. Hurkacz 50-1 for Wimbledon as we stand now. Taylor Fritz 30-1. Tommy Paul 150-1. Zverev 33-1. I mean, should we be looking ahead to some of these, given their form they're showing on clay, and thinking they can only get better at
Possibly.
Wimbledon?
I
I
think
think
the interest.
Hurkacz at 50 is a big price, isn't it?
Who? Sorry.
Hurkacz at 50s.
Yeah, it's quite possible. I mean, I don't think grass is a natural surface for him. I think if he gets through the first week, then he's a big danger because obviously the grass tends to dry up, bounces higher. The low bounce on the first sort of week ish, that is where for me people like Hurkacz and Zverev, they're vulnerable because they don't like that low bounce. Tommy Paul's always said that his coach has said that grass should be his best surface. So we're thinking about Berrettini. I know he's had injury problems. I don't know what price he is for Wimbledon, but
He's very short. He's like 20-1.
Is he?
Yeah, he's a lot
That's
short.
too short then. But he could well come back, rip through this grass season like he has done before, winning Stuttgart and Queens or whatever, and then before you know it, he's about 8-1 to win Wimbledon. So yeah, there's certainly possibilities. Fritz is another one. Yeah, I mean 30-1. I'm still sour about when we had him a couple of years ago. What was he, 150, 200-1? Never going to forgive him for that, I don't think. But yeah, it's all the slams coming up. You know, the Roland Garros and Wimbledon. They're all very open for sure.
Yep. Very exciting times coming up for tennis bettors. And as I said, we'll have you covered here on Betting Weekly Studios Game Bet Match. Remember, you can download the podcast Betting Weekly Game Bet Match from your preferred podcast provider. You can follow us on our Twitter and our Instagram account Because We Win. Lots of exclusive content on the Instagram account. And you can subscribe to our YouTube channel, Betting Weekly Studios, to be across all the fabulous content that is coming your way over the summer. Not only do we have the tennis covered for you, it's the final weekend of the Premier League this weekend, and we have a special live show, an in-play live show when the goals go in with myself, Neil Channing, Steve Wish, and Jack Wright, on for 2 hours live on Sunday. We also have the Euro 2024 Football Championships coming up as well. We have you covered, and it's the final weeks across Europe over the next couple of weeks. And the guys on Betting Weekly Extra Time will have you covered on there. So whatever your sport, whatever your passion, we have you covered here on Betting Weekly Studios. Sean, so it's difficult. No official picks. Look for the order of play. Just give us a little bit of a recap. If it's a daytime session, Hurkacz, Paul, who do we want to bet?
Daytime session, I just wouldn't bet it. I lean towards Paul, I think. But evening session, I would be taking Paul.
And if it's daytime session, Tsitsipas, Jarry?
I'd go over 10.5 games in set one there.
And if it's evening session?
Evening, I'd probably leave it because I would expect Tsitsipas to win there.
There you go. Very important on the order of play. Check out the BetRivers website. You'll get the order of play probably by the time this podcast drops. We'll try to get back again later on in the week if we can get some matches maybe for semi-finals. But if not, Sean will give some picks on the Instagram account, and I'll be doing some stuff as well, probably in play as well. And we'll be back on Sunday after the live show, looking ahead to next week's tournaments where we head to Geneva in the build-up for the French Open, and I'll be over in Switzerland from Tuesday courtside. So looking forward to that one. Take care. Good luck with your bet, Sean, today. Good luck with Zverev. Come on, Zverev. That's the big cheer. We want Zverev to win this tournament. Get that P&L up even more. Enjoy your day. Look out for that order of play, and we'll speak to you all very soon.